Hi, everyone, and welcome to Astrology with Jeffrey Bryan. Today's episode is not going to be on astrology, it's going to be on healing and what I see going on in the world today. For several years, I was actually a healer, doing all kinds of different types of energy healing, from craniosacral therapy to Jin Shin Jitsu and Reiki and other types of practices as well. And gone to many retreats and done different kinds of healings with different kinds of shamans and medicines and all sorts of different types of healings. And so today I was driving down the street and I noticed all these people coming out of this store. And then I noticed it's a marijuana shop. And I live on the West Coast. And I don't know much about the rest of the country or the rest of the world, but there's like a marijuana shop on every single corner now, just like alcohol shops, selling booze everywhere. And so now we're in these great times of great conflict in the world, in the United States and everywhere in the world. And I just want to be let people be conscious of what's going on. So, if you believe that there's a battle of good and evil, or Satan and God, or right and wrong, or justice and injustice, think about what you're doing to yourself. If you claim to be a spiritual person, are you meditating on a daily basis? Are you going out in nature and connecting with the earth and the elements and things of that nature? Are you doing Tai Chi or Qigong yoga, some kind of pranayama or some kind of breathing exercise? Or do you have your rich, or maybe some people have ritual altars? There's lots of different kinds of spiritualities out there. There's Native American that has all kinds of offerings to nature and different things like that. Are you doing those things? And for religious people, um, are you doing what the Bible says? Are you, um, you know, drinking hardcore every night? Or are you going to the marijuana shop and um, getting high out day in and day out? Or do you just use once in a while? Because these things are important. And same thing with the diet. Are we going to fast food restaurant chains um, and eating out all the time? Or are we buying good food, maybe local produce, maybe organic produce? Are we juicing? Some people like cleansing. Are you doing these things to your body to energetically prepare for a higher frequency? Because higher frequencies are coming in all the time. People talk about moving into the 5D. Whether or not that is true, it matters that your consciousness is moving up and not down. Now, if you believe that there is good and evil and Satan and God, and that there's these beings like angels and other beings like that follow Lucifer and Satan around, they exist not just here on the physical plane, they exist in the spiritual worlds. So let's pretend I get drunk tonight, and then I get drunk tomorrow night, and I get drunk every night this week. And then that propels me into this addictive cycle where I start drinking every night to where I pass out. Well, when I fall asleep, what's happening to my body when I'm in the dream state? That's a whole new world. We're in a spiritual world. We're in the astral realm where these beings exist. There's all kinds of little beings, and they can attack and attach to you, and they can cause these repetitive thoughts. They can cause these repetitive um, desires. They can even be sexual desires, also addictive desires, hateful desires towards other people, wanting to do harm. It's not somebody that's in an energetic harmony and happiness and joy. Even with all this going on, if you're doing these good things to yourself, like your diet, you're juicing or you're cleansing or you're meditating or you're doing breath work or you're praying and you're um, doing different kinds of meditations, you're grounding, going out on nature and hugging trees or river rafting or gardening at your house. These are all positive things. Working out at the gym is a positive thing. It gets that aggression out. Now, it's important too to be grounding because we're always touching concrete or tile or flooring, and we're not touching our feet or our hands, the two most sensitive parts of the body, to let this energetic magnetism or electromagnetism go. We're surrounded by like 5G, 4G, 3G Wi-Fi, TV sets, cell phones, iPads, iPods, computers, light bulbs. All of these frequencies burn out our nervous system. So think about how many people are committing suicide. Think about how many people are taking pills for depression. Sometimes it's not necessarily, but it can be. But sometimes, a lot of times, it's all these outer things and somebody not working on these inner things to achieve this thing. And they think to achieve happiness is this goal. Your body is the temple. So I just want to let you know that this is a living reality we're living. As the consciousness is speeding up, we're seeing, I think it's more of like I would call it a satanic agenda, that we're seeing all these marijuana places popping up all over the place and more alcohol stores popping up because they want to dumb us down. They want to kill our energy. If you have ever studied, I'm a big studier of philosophies and various religions and even the occult and esoteric things. It's just a passion of mine. And Satan and Lucifer are the same being, and their job is to take us out of the world. They don't want us coming here and doing what God wanted us to fulfill, our karmic obligation, or our soul's journey, our soul's wish that God wanted us to come here to do. He wants to kill us and not allow us here in this world and keep us in the spiritual world. Are you contributing to that? That's my question. Are you conscious of this? These are very serious questions that you must ask yourself. And if you have these issues, how can you prevent them from continuing? Because once you're in these addictive cycles, it's hard to break. And I'll tell you some certain facts. I minored in substance abuse counseling, and two of the biggest facts that I took from that was 80% of the recidivism rate in prison, or the recidivism rate in prison is 80%. Only 20% of people that go to substance abuse counseling within, I think, the first year actually stay sober, either off of drugs or alcohol. And up 3 years, it may be up to 3 years, but I think it's 1 year. And then 3 years, it drops to say 15%. And then from there, it go from 5 years, it's almost non-existent. Very few people even make it. And they go to Alcoholics Anonymous, they go to counseling, they go to therapy, they go to like a psychologist or some kind of a therapist. Why aren't these people succeeding? It's because they have these attachments, these spiritual entities that are tiny. You don't even recognize them. They go into your subtle body. So I want to show you some pictures of what I'm talking about. So I'm going to share the screen here. And so here we see, before I go here, so here is the chakra system. This comes, a lot of people from the East talk about the chakras. I talk about the chakras a lot. So you have a root chakra, second chakras, the sacral chakra, then you have the solar plex, and over here you can see this is the different bodies that they have. And then the solar plexus, which is your personal power to that you flex or you have. Um, then you have your heart chakra, which is all about love. And then you have your throat chakra, which is about communication. Um, a lot of women have a throat chakra problem. I used to do lots of chakra healing on women, and they would keep coming back. I would clear it, clear it, clear it, and run energy or just hold space for it. Never, ever, ever try to force um, something to heal. You always want to allow it on its own, or hold energy or space or channel for it. Um, I'm not a believer in even meditations where people try to force their chakras to open up. There's many popular people right now that think that they have to try to command with their will, their ego, or their willpower to do this. And that's not how meditation works. And that's not true meditation, I should say. And that's not how true healing works. True healing works um, by your own consciousness, by holding consciousness and maybe even talking to an organ or something or a chakra, but you have to allow it um, in its own intelligence. The own universal cosmic intelligence will arrange that chakra or that organ or that energy center to form back in harmony. So why am I talking about these things? Because this is where these entities come in at. So the heart center, throat, third eye, and the crown chakra. So another thing I want to mention with the women part was that would come in with these throat chakra problems is they would feel so good when they left. And I would ask them, who are you having trouble with communicating? Because week in and week out, same problem. Well, my boss, he won't listen to me. Or my husband, he won't listen to me. Or he taught, or my son, or my daughter, or it's always a person. They weren't speaking their voice. They weren't living their truth. And so um, a lot of times this is what led me to astrology was I found I could move their energy by helping them understand their chart and what was activated in the time frames, because I also understood energy and healing. So this is how I could grasp an understanding and help them move their consciousness in a way that it wasn't happening with certain types of healing that I know how to do. I know there's lots of other types of healers that are very, very good. So from what I was doing, the astrology with my knowledge of the energy bodies um, really was forming this healing that I hadn't seen taking place before, because these people now had a rational thinking, they're Mercury, they could mentally wrap their head around what was going on. Was a divorce coming up, or was it imminent, or were they struggling with this job promotion that they didn't really want, or were they finding their job wasn't satisfying? I can't tell you how many therapists and psychologists I had that would come in that were were dissatisfied because what they were doing wasn't helping their people. It's tough to have people come in and day out and not be able to have results. The result level is super depressingly low. And so it's about healing these people on the inside and getting rid of these negative attachments. And I will tell you, it takes these listen to spiritual healers, especially ones. There's a lot of there's some ones out there that are not real, that they don't know what they're doing, but there are really genuine ones that have these real abilities that can channel real energy, and they're connected to source, and they see what's going on in the energetic bodies, and they can communicate with divine beings, and they can get rid of these things. I've personally had it happen where I went blind, and I was almost paralyzed from a negative attachment. And I went to every doctor that you could possibly think of, and no one could help me. And I called my astrology teacher And he also is my meditation teacher. He said, you need to call this woman. A 3 hour session, and I could see, and I was fine. Boom, it was over. It was a demonic attachment or some kind of a spiritual negative entity that had attacked me. And this has happened several times in my life, but that was the worst. And so I know, and I don't drink or do drugs. So, and my body was attuned. But so they like to attack, try to take away darkness. The people that are of the light, they don't want light spreading. And so this is one of the ways that they do. And sometimes you can see your thinking patterns start shifting. Like, why all of a sudden, I was so happy. Why all of a sudden am I going down in this negative spiral? And, quit watching negativity. The news, social media, put it down. It's everywhere. That's why I'm saying spending time in nature and meditating and taking your mind away from this electrical, techie world is going to tremendously increase your life for the better. So then I want to show you in lots of Asian types of healings, they talk about meridians. There's acupuncture and acupressure. So as the chakras are, you have this auric field that was in this right here. So you have this auric field that's of it's 7 levels out, extends about 3 to 5 feet depending. And then it radiates from your inner self out, or your outer self in, you could say, either way. Because the spiritual world is different dimensional realities that come in and forms the physical world. So this is like the body of man. And so why is this important? Things can get stuck in your auric field too that need to be combed out. Something can be stuck here that's bothering you, bothering your shoulder. Maybe you need your aura combed out. That's where these healers are trained in. So then you can go to an acupuncturist or acupressurist, and they'll press. They'll press. You can even get like a massage where they do pressure techniques, even like Tui Na, where they're using vibrational frequencies to try to activate and get this stuff out of the body. So why is this important? Because this is on a subtler level than the outer level or the chakra level. We're talking now, it's affecting the meridians, the really finite areas of the body and the brain. There's these meridians in the brain. And so these beings attack and attach, and they stop these flows of energy because they want to take you out. So these healers, even acupuncture, all these people I'm talking about are very, very important people to see, especially if you're having a hard time. But in these current times, when the energy frequency seems to be people fighting for freedom and independence, and against certain kinds of mandates, and losing their jobs, they're highly stressed. They're up to here, and their kids, they're having to talk to their kids about these things happening, and why can't I do this at school, and why do I have to do that, and all these different things. It's highly stressful. So what do most parents do? They go home and they go right to the wine, or the kids go in the other room, and they go to bed, and they go to their joint or their pipe, and they're contributing to their own problem. It's a temporary solution. So there needs to be a turning point for the consciousness of mankind to move forward and not backward. Because the more marijuana stores and the more liquor shops I see opening up, that's an indication that the consciousness is not moving in the right direction. And so we need, we need to see some good kinds of things like There's lots of different kinds of teas and different kinds of drinks that you can make that actually really stimulate the brain and and comfort the body, that would blow your mind, that a lot of people are unaware of. These are the new ways of consciousness moving forward in the body, operating on a higher and higher and higher level. And another thing with meditation, I'll go back to this. I just want to show you, see, they run up the back and they run around the brain, and you can see all the meridians through the face. No, they're everywhere. And you can see this one has needles sticking out. So like I'll open up this one. You can see how many points that affect the body. And they have, if something up here is affecting something, this could be a kidney or liver function flow. I mean, these things above the head, they're attached to the organs of the body. Doesn't mean it's necessarily like in your ocular nerve. These things matter, even down at your toe. You know, for people that have Lyme disease and things of that nature, there's certain points down at the toe that are, when you press it, it can be very painful, but if you massage it, it really helps stimulate their liver function. I believe it's by the big toe or the second. I think it's by the big toe, but I could be wrong on that. It's been a while. So back to this, I just want to say one more thing about meditation, because I feel like so many people say they meditate all the time, and I just want to let you know the type matters, in my opinion. So if I teach meditation, and I love doing all kinds, they're all very relaxing. But if you're not doing something that's changing your consciousness or changing your vibration, what are you doing? So if you're just sitting there breathing, that's great. That's one of the best things you can do. If you're staring into a candle flame, that's great. If you're listening to music and that's putting you into a relaxed state, that's really great. Now, if you go to a meditation studio and they take you on basically a mental field trip, going up a stream or a brook and up a mountain, and then you open a door and you're in this other world and you're flying around, and you come back, you wake up and you're like, oh, I feel great. But what did that really do to you? That did not affect your consciousness in any kind of a long-term effect. That's a temporary feeling that makes you like kind of maybe feel good about yourself for the day. Personally, now there are deep kinds that can happen with healers, where they take you on these meditations when they're holding space, and doing kind of it's real sacred kind of work. But I'm not talking about those kind. We're talking about just general meditation. And then there's a famous person, I won't say his name, but everyone seems to love him, and he talks about, going into each chakra and working it. What do you know about that chakra that needs working? Should you be messing with that chakra that needs working? In true transcendental type meditation, the body grows in limbs. You connect to the source, and everything moves in harmony. It's the art of doing nothing. God, or the source, or the universal principle of creative intelligence, takes over your body, takes over your mind. It expands open. And you dive deep into the subconscious mind, and you heal aspects of yourself that you weren't even aware needed healing. You dive in different parts, and you don't even have to be conscious of it. It just happens automatically. It takes you there. The divine intelligence takes you there. The divine intelligence will focus on the chakra for you as you get more and more into a transcendental or mantra-based meditation. It has to do with frequency and sound, and these things automatically take you to where you want to go. Sound, When people talk about sound, they think of our verbal voice. They think of our um, listening to music. They think about listening to binaural beats. They think about putting on a meditation that some guy made that activates the hemispheres of the brain. Is the brain meant to be activated that long and that hard? I've had friends and family members that have done those types and they became sick. They became miserable because it was moving their consciousness too fast. How, the amount of time that they used it, how often they thought the more I do it, the better I'll be. And they got worse. So we have to be conscious of what we're doing and learn from people that really understand the science of sound, the science of meditation, the science of real true healing. It's very important. And so I'd like to say with sound, because I was talking about those binaural beats and speech, God or the universal principle of creative intelligence or the divine mind or the source of all or all that is, his sound is a universal sound. It's actually, in India, they call it Devanagari, which means the language of the gods, because they believe in all these gods. But what they're saying is there's a language beyond the physical, and it's made up of sound or mantra, and it can take you to anywhere in the universal dimensional realities. So if you have a problem, you can evoke a sound that comes and takes away a demonic being from you. Or if you say a certain sound, you can work on a certain chakra or a certain part of your psyche or a certain area of a dimension, like the astral world where you sleep. So if you have an attachment there, you could go there and work. But we have to be very careful when we're even doing that because it can create somebody to become unbalanced. You won't, in my opinion, the best are universal sounds or mantras that take you to the source of creation and let that source, it's like capturing the fort. Instead of going to the bank, to this bank to get money and then have to go to that bank to get that money and then have to go to this store, you capture all these things. Or we could say diamond mines, silver mines, platinum mines. And instead of capturing the trucks of silver here and there, we capture the fort, and therefore we own it all. So you want a meditation where you own it all. You connect and you do nothing. Meditation is really very active in the mind, but it's the art of letting go. Like jumping off a diving board, it's just a process of letting go until you fall into the water. It's not consciously of force or trying. The only thing you can do wrong in real, true, deep meditation that changes your real physiology, the only thing you can do wrong is to try. That sounds backwards to the mind of the ego. The ego and the will want to have to do something. It's like working out. We want to work out. Well, non-trying, just sitting there doing a sound in your head, is actually exercising your consciousness. Think about that. We all go to the gym, we go work out, we run, we walk, we try out for sports and all these things. But is anyone working on exercising their consciousness? That's a new, it's not new to me, but that may be new to you. So that's a holistic area, the diet, the physical exercise, and the exercising of your personal consciousness. So anyway, let me stop this share. I'll end it with that. I hope that was informative for you, and I hope I didn't offend anyone. I'm just trying to tell you the truth and how I see it and what's going on. And if you like this video, please like, share, or subscribe. And I've got a new video coming out in the near couple of days that's going to be very fascinating on these different kinds of star children that are coming in. So stay tuned. That should be up in the next day or two. Hope you have a wonderful day, and goodbye, everyone.